Welcome into the BSN Denver non-waiver MLB trade deadline recap video. Jake Shapiro, BSN Rockies beat writer, alongside BSN Rockies editor Drew Creasman. The Colorado Rockies made two trades just ahead of this deadline, both not mortgaging the future, but increasing their potential and what they can do this year.
Yeah, Pat Neshek, a big pickup, exactly what the Colorado Rockies needed there in their bullpen. They needed a right-handed reliever. They needed somebody, you know what? They needed somebody with weird delivery, man. They needed somebody with a little bit of funk with all those guys who come over the top with that fire, someone to give them a change of pace, someone to set up for Greg Holland, exactly what they needed. Like you said, got that guy who's been an elite reliever in this game without giving up very much. Just a couple of C-level prospects, really. And then the news just yesterday, bringing in Jonathan Lucroy, two-time all-star catcher who I think can really shore up some things with the veteran intangibles he brings to the team.
Well, the Rockies, where they sit currently, there's almost zero chance that they can win the NL West. In fact, I think it's almost mathematically impossible at this point, and we are winning the colors of the team that will win the NL West, and that is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They acquire Yu Darvish at the deadline, as well as Tony Watson, who's been one of my favorite relievers in baseball over the course of a long period of time, really good from the left side. So the Rockies are competing for the wild card. Did they do enough to secure that home field advantage in the wild card game?
You know, some people will say no because the Arizona Diamondbacks went out and got J.D. Martinez, and I understand that. He's a more flashy move. He's a guy who's going to hit you a bunch of home runs, and neither Lucroy or Pat Neshek going to hit very many home runs for the Colorado Rockies.
I'd be shocked if Pat Neshek hit a home run.
But I think the Diamondbacks were thinner, and then they got even more thin after those trades where the Colorado Rockies kept their depth. They have all kinds of artillery they can add coming into the end of the season with their own young players in addition to these veterans they got. So, yeah, I think the Rockies have done enough to put themselves in an opportunity to win the wild card.
Our friends at Rockpile pointed this out today, that September 1st is probably a more important date for the Rockies than August 1st, because the Rockies can call up more of their prospects and expand their roster, and boy, do they have some good ones that are MLB ready.
Absolutely right. Ryan McMahon's hitting .390 through 50 games at AAA with 11 home runs. That's a guy you can put on your roster pretty much any time you feel like he's ready to go at the major league level. If there's an injury or if they're just ready to make their bench better, you go get Ryan McMahon. David Dahl, who made his major league debut last year, tied a MLB record in the entire history of baseball, 17 games in a row with a hit to start his career. So they've got those guys. They've also got Jordan Patterson, who's been on fire since the end of May, and any number of relievers that they could call upon to lengthen their bullpen. So a lot of opportunities there.
Cubs are probably going to win the NL Central. That means the Rockies are going to be competing against both the Brewers and the Arizona Diamondbacks for this wild card spot. The Brewers acquired Jeffries, where, as we said, the Diamondbacks just get J.D. Martinez. Where would you rank the Colorado Rockies? What would you grade their trade deadline, only making these two moves, but it filled each of their needs exceptionally well?
Exactly right. So I think it's got to be at least, a solid B+. Maybe you don't get into the A range. They didn't get a blockbuster move. Not one guy who you say, yeah, that really makes them favorites. Whatever's going to make them favorites over the Diamondbacks or the Brewers to win the wild card, I think is, stuff they already had. But Pat Neshek, I think, should not be underrated as an acquisition for this team. It looks like he's going to slot right into the very important 8th inning role, and that makes your games one inning shorter, and that's very important for this Colorado Rockies team with the offense they've got and the starting pitchers that they have.
And it's very hard for us to know what impact Jonathan Lucroy will have, not only because he's had a down year and has been an MVP candidate over the course of his career, but it's hard to evaluate what a catcher can do until he's part of an organization. So we will know a lot more about Jonathan Lucroy in the coming week after the Rockies have this homestand here in Denver against the New York Mets and, a couple other bad teams that they're playing. Honestly, the schedule does weaken up for the Rockies, and that is huge news. They've got a lot of good home games coming up where they can make up ground and really take over this first wild card spot and secure their spot in the playoffs and that home wild card game, which will be so important for the Colorado Rockies. So Jonathan Lucroy has the potential to be a huge blockbuster type move, even though right now we're only talking about it as a player to be named later.
Yeah, hey, there's no guy who ever said to himself, oh man, I got to go hit at Coors Field. Like, he's going to be excited. He's also playing for a new contract. He's not striking out very much this year. That could play at Coors. There's a lot of reason to believe that Jonathan Lucroy could be very good for the Colorado Rockies. He's got a lot to play for. He's got a great environment to play in, and he's now playing on a team all of a sudden that's in the thick of a very exciting race. I think we're going to see the best of Jonathan Lucroy yet to come.
So overall, Jeff Bridich, in his first time buying at the deadline, manages not mortgaging the future, but adding to his team in a very sound way. Drew Creasman, Jake Shapiro recapping this trade deadline for BSNDenver.com.